to walk the path of the life.
Okay.
My master used to say, once you are awakened, you follow your own path, and I follow my own path. That is the journey of Eastern wisdom, where we discover our real self. Take one example. Someone wants to know you, where you are in Princeton, how to reach there. So even if I know you, I have to reach there. What about me? If I know myself, do I have to reach anywhere? I have not to reach anywhere. All our actions comes to an end, and I know myself. That is the journey of the self discovery. That is why the master says we walk the path alone does not mean that we become lonely. Why? What is the difference between being alone and lonely? In loneliness, I my mind is expecting something to be done with reference to a person, an object, or a place. But being alone means all one, all one. That is the journey of the real self. But how to be alone, all one? I have to find out whether there is a common element, including our current president and elect president, me and you. There is one common element, and that is our real self. That is pure consciousness. So when you veil that pure consciousness, your real nature, then what happens? Why you veil? Because the mind has some expectation. Who veils? The personal self, not the real self. What is personal self made up of? Of desire, of expectation, of anxiety, of fear. Why it is so? Because I'm attached to the objects, to the people, to the things around myself. So, what happens when I drop the attachment? What happens when I drop the attachment? Now, this mind looks at the real self, dropping that attachment. Now, see one more thing. When I come face to face with the real self, I need not to create this here real self. I discover. Do I need to create a space even when I see your house, my house, street, highways in the same space? No, the space exists. It continues to exist. Do I need to create water looking at millions of waves in an ocean? Water is already there. Same way, that real self is always there. That is why we say meditation, mindfulness at a higher stage is effortless, natural. We need not to practice, we have to simply know it. When you know it, you are liberated from the suffering, from the anxiety. What is that anxiety and suffering? To the root cause of the fear is the fear of death. But why there is a fear of death? Because my mind is attached to the body, claims that I am the body. So when I discover my real self is all pervading, it is deeper than the infinite space, it is pure consciousness, then that fear is gone. That is what we say, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Moving from ignorance to wisdom is that takes us to the highest state of meditation or mindfulness. That is why during the childhood, when we were really born, hardly few months, that garbage of attachment, of identification is not there. We look so spontaneous and natural. And that naturalness and the spontaneity is lost by cultural conditioning, social conditioning, religious conditioning, conditioning coming from the education, society, and relations, people, place, and objects. And that conditioning is so deep, my friend, that the mind starts assuming that without the person in front of me, I will lose everything. But existence takes away that person and we continue to exist. We don't realize, but what we do, we create an attachment with another person. You see the beauty of understanding and you see the fallacy and the delusion of the mind. What is that delusion? What is that fallacy? What is that false self? My house is constantly changing. It has become 30 years old, but my mind wants to claim it is as new as I think in my mind. Apply the same logic to the body. Body has become old. I told you we had a good friend in Princeton, and he was 70 years old, and his anxiety was when I was 40, I had no problem. Who was 40? Body was 40. Now this body is 75. Uh, it has become old, but my mind does not want to accept that it has become old. I should take extra care. No, I had no problem when I was 40. Now, why I have a problem? Why? Because I am deeply obsessed that I am the body. Master says, know it, separate in your mind, in the field of awareness that I am not the body, I am what I am. That is pure consciousness. That is the journey of meditation. You see, everything is changing what is seen, and I want to hold on to it. Why? My mind wants to hold on to it because I'm attached. Identify myself with that. See, that simple thing. Simple thing. So, Krishna, our great master, whose dialogue is there in the Gita, who says, when one is not get attached to the objects of the senses and the works, he perceives the object and the people who are changing constantly as it is, then what happens? He lives and works in meditative state. Look at the truth. I buy vegetable. It is bound to change. You leave it for 2 weeks, it gets rotten. I have to throw it out. But I am the seer. I did not change. When the veggie came, I bought it. When it became rotten, I remain the same. But why I get upset? Because I'm attached. I identify with it. Until you drop this identification, mindfulness cannot succeed in our life. It does not mean that we should throw everything out. We should throw that idea of identification in the mind that creates an ego sense. And then ego sense says, this is I am. Look at my body. I am still young, but deeper inside there is a fear of death because I identify myself with the body. You drop the identification of the body, the mind says, I'm free, liberated. I cannot be known as old because the body has become old. And if that is so, then if I live in 100-year-old house, then I'm 100-year-old. This this idea, this knowledge, this awareness should be recalled and repeated again and again in the mind, so that this mind gets purified and it reveals the true nature. That revelation of a true nature is nothing but the state of my mindfulness, meditation. What is the. Well, I always love to repeat it. You might have heard again and again. There was another great master who says, Yadi deham prathakratyaha. If you first become aware of the body, second level, ask your mind, is body you, or you are separate from the body? The body is constantly changing, but you inside remain the same. You are and at the time of the birth, when the name was given, 10 years old and 20 years old and 40 years old and 50 years old. And who is this I dwelling in the home that is known as the body? And that is our real self. So this master says, first become aware of the body, check if there is any identification. Me, mine, I am the body. Drop this identification that is in the mind. Well, okay, you drop the identification. What happens? That the body becomes steady. When the body becomes steady, then see where the mind is jumping. If the mind is jumping inside, calm down and tell the mind that now you do not have any object when you move the mind inside. In that state, we experience the mind reflects our true nature. So that is what he says literally, Yadi deham prathakratya. If we separate our body from the identification created in the mind, what is going to happen? The mind drops the identification, mind settles inside, then allow the mind to rest within. Once you allow the mind to rest within, mind becomes a transparent mirror, then only it reflects our true nature. The way if you have ripples in the water in an ocean in a full moon night, you see the moon, the distorted image of the moon. When the same mind comes down transparent, it reflects that moon sitting near us, our true nature. Last point, and then we will do the practice. It's quite interesting. One master puts a beautiful argument to lead us to break that notion of identification. So what he says, oh, do you experience the sensation? Yes, I experience the sensation. So tell me, the master is asking, tell me weight, height of the sensation. There is no shape, size, weight, height of the sensation. It is because of that sensation my mind says I am the body. I own my house. This is my house. This is my house. What is this? This is knowledge, feeling, sensation. What is the shape, size of this sensation? Which says belongingness. There is no shape, size. Go back. Do you have a pain? Okay, let me know how much it weighs. What is the shape and the size, the length and the width of this? So when you start looking like this, the mind breaks that identification and we enter into a meditative state. The moment the mind breaks the identification, the mind looks within, lives within, and then it perceives that reality. That is what the journey of the self discovery, meditation, and so, what is happening? One point where we started, we walk the path alone. Let us sleep together. Doesn't make any make any sense. I have my own sleep. You have your own sleep. Do you see that? Sleeping. The sleep state is purely personal. So, the way meditation, we may have 50 people doing meditation with me, but every individual has his or her personal meditative state. That is another meaning that in this journey, first, from a person, we become a seeker by understanding these principles, and then we realize the seeker has to walk alone to succeed in this journey of the self discovery. Otherwise, Buddha could have liberated everyone on this earth. He resolved, I am awakened, I will make everyone awakened. So, what did he say? I will continue to take rebirth until every human being is awakened. Means he will be a pointer, he will be a mentor, he will be a guide, but he cannot force every human being in the state of meditation or delivery. I have to treat my own path. So let us start our practice of meditation. Close your eyes